All right, take two, guys.
Okay. Not too low. No, I think. A bit better.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Welcome. We apologise. We've just sat here for 40 minutes having some really great conversations to find out that we actually didn't invite people in or press record. So normally we have Natalie here who would do these things, but she's not here today. So I'm Charlie.
Jordin.
And yeah, we're just going to do a bit of a check-in now. We're going to reschedule and do another chat another day, and we'll go into all of those things. But I think for now we'll just we'll just do a bit of a check-in. You know, Are You Okay Day is really important, just to remind us to touch base with family, friends, touch base with ourselves. Make sure, we're really looking after ourselves. It's also an important reminder as well that, not only on Are You Okay Day, but on other days, we need to be making sure that we're having those conversations. We're also checking in on ourselves and others around us and making sure that they're okay. Making sure that we're implementing some really great things in our lives to help with our mental health and well-being. I'll quickly go through. We did have a really good discussion about this, but we will do that another day. We were just chatting about why implementing well-being in our lives is so important. We chatted about making sure that we're looking after our physical health, we're connecting with others, we're looking after us, if you're, what's the word, like religious, your religion. I'm spiritual, so I call it spiritual, making sure that I'm connected with my spiritual side and making sure I'm implementing all of those things. Another thing for me is like being kind to others, being kind to self. They were just some things that we touch base on. Connection was a massive thing, like making sure that we're connecting with friends, family, touching base with our counsellor or our psychologist. That's so important to have those conversations if we're struggling with a professional. Also having those conversations with our friends is really important, just creating just like creating the awareness and being like, I'm not okay, mate. You're opening up those conversations, which is really important. Connecting with our kids, making sure that they're okay, that's really important. What else? Is there something?
I think just all of what you said, yes, and then we discussed some brief coping strategies, but also we discussed how important it is that if you're struggling, that getting some form of counselling or some form of therapy is really vital. Just to give you that opportunity to be able to speak to someone that doesn't have bias. So you can speak to someone and you don't have to worry about them giving you their opinion. And you also don't have to worry that if you are going to say something while you're really upset that you can't take it back. So you can pretty much in a therapy session or with counselling, or you can call a lifeline phone number. There's a couple of other ones as well, which we can share references to, that you can just talk to someone anonymously and just get things off of your chest without the worry of it coming back on you. Obviously, if there's any fears about safety, maybe a safety concern for yourself or a safety concern for other people, then your therapist or counsellor might have to speak up. But apart from that, just being able to talk to someone without a filter, even just unfiltered, because I find like when you get through life and you're an adult and you have different circles, you kind of have to filter things to be appropriate in certain settings. You can't just always spill everything out, but just to let everything go unfiltered can just be really relieving, and also help you sort your things out just by speaking it through. So that's a big one for sure.
Definitely. I think having those, you can have a different conversation with a therapist or a counsellor than what you're going to have with your mate. And you're also not getting that, like we touched base on before, like you're not getting that personal opinion thrown like into it. With our loved ones and our family, friends, they tend to be like, oh, well, you should do this, and they put their own personal opinions, beliefs, which kind of sometimes it can add that pressure. Because when you're having those conversations with a professional, you've got you know, they've got those boundaries. They know what they can and they can't say. They can't give you their opinion. They can only give you things to implement that they think might help you, and some really great tools and strategies that are coming more from like a professional and science base. Whereas our friends and family tend to, you know, throw a bit of an extra mix into it. But it's still really important to have those conversations with family as well.
So I think the whole idea of Are You Okay Day is it's just opening up that conversation with everybody, friends, family, co-workers, your kids, things like that, just opening up conversations about mental health and general well-being, and just removing any barriers of communication regarding that, just to allow you to chat to each other and maybe connect over mutual struggles, or if you had someone that's in your life that's maybe silently struggling, if you start the conversation first, they might think, oh my gosh, this person knows what it's like, or I'm safe to talk to this person. Then you might never know, that might make such a difference in someone's life.
Yeah, hugely. And have the conversations with your kids as well. Like, it's so important to check in with our kids, and making sure that they're okay, and giving them a bit of an understanding around some of the, like, I guess, mental health and well-being. But a lot of kids are very, like we were chatting about earlier, they're very educated on these areas, because we're so lucky that there are things in schools now, whereas back when we were growing up, we didn't have well-being programs. And, you know, that's great to see how far we've come. But having those conversations with kids is really important. They tend to struggle sometimes as well. And like I was saying with my son the other day, he was really struggling, and he was open to be like, I'm struggling, I'm having a bad day. Had a cry, which I was like, that's beautiful. He's acknowledging how he's feeling, he's dealing with it. But I was like, it actually made me think as a parent, I was like, wow, you know, I kind of felt like, oh, you know, I have a bad day and I acknowledge I have a bad day, but my kid's having a bad day. Like, you know, it's so important to acknowledge them, acknowledge how they're feeling, and check in. I think that's what I was going to say.
So that's definitely why it's important to talk about mental health. And we did have a big discussion before, but how about we just go through just a couple of coping strategies, or things to refill your cup, as you beautifully put it before. So if you want to go through some of those, that might be really helpful to anyone listening.
So over here you can't see it, but I have a whiteboard and it's got a cup, and I always give this example when I have kids in here, or I'm running a class or something, is that filling our cup is so important, and it can be little things that will just uplift us and make us feel better. I know for me, like, filling my cup is so important. It makes me a better parent, it makes me better within my work role, and it just makes me feel better. And some of the things that I implement in my everyday life, just little things like making sure I'm drinking enough water, I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy during the week. I really try and have a strict eating routine. Just for me, I know, like, I struggle with certain foods, so if I'm not onto that, then I'm, you know, I get brain fog. I'm not great for anyone. So making sure that I'm eating correctly. Also, like, connecting with others is a huge thing for me. Like, I'm very social. So filling my cup might just be like having a conversation with a girlfriend, or another thing is like going for, like, it doesn't even have to be like big things. It can be like going outside and just putting your feet in the grass and just grounding yourself. I'm quite a spiritual person, so for me, meditating is a huge thing for me, and just being really connected to self. So that's big for me. What else? Being like little acts of kindness as well. Like, I love making people laugh, smile. I love just being like smiling at like some random person next to me, you know. That's a big thing. Opening a door. It doesn't have to be like showering someone with gifts.
It doesn't have to be expensive.
It doesn't need to be materialistic. It can just be like giving someone your time. Like, give someone a little bit of your time, or something like that. What else was there? that was another thing. We didn't actually touch base on this, but I know with me, like making sure my cup's full is like disconnecting from social media and things like that.
That's true. Yeah. I find social media can quite often have a very negative impact on mental well-being and also physical. If you're spending a lot of time on social media and you're neglecting your body by getting up and moving, then that's the social media having a negative impact on your physical health. And you're not getting your activity in, you're not moving your body, you're not keeping yourself physically well. But if you find yourself chronically on social media, consider implementing a bit of a schedule. Like I can start it at this time of day, or I can start it after I've had my shower in the morning, and then maybe consider a cutoff time or a certain amount of time spent over the day. Maybe just start by really checking in with yourself. How do you feel when you're using social media? Is this actually contributing positively to my life? Is it just a nothing? You might just be using it and there's no impact, but you might also be using it in the sort of way that could be almost obsessive, and it could also be visiting sites or accessing material that makes you feel worse, whatever it might be. I find that when we have such a plethora of choices in terms of social media and even just internet material, we can kind of get quite overwhelmed with the abundance, and it does take a bit of monitoring, especially if you find that in your free time that is the first thing you go to. Maybe become a little more mindful with the reasons why you're accessing. You might just be doing it absently and you might not realize, and then if you kind of check in and go, okay, I'm just scrolling, and I notice
such
at
an
least
unhealthy addiction.
Yeah, for sure. It can be borderline addictive, and even just the stress levels it can give you, and the strain on your eyes,
especially like if your like self-confidence isn't great. Like I have people like friends and stuff like that who post, and then that they want that validation, and if they don't get it, they can be, I know there's been times where I've probably done that as well, and that's like such an issue, like when you're posting and then you're like, oh, how many likes have I got? So I find like it's so important. I know when I've got deadlines for work or uni or whatever, just sometimes I'll just like deactivate Facebook, because I'm like, right, deactivate for the 5 days during the week, get your stuff done, and then have some time on the weekend.
Absolutely.
So like having those boundaries, that's super important. What else? That was good. I forgot that.
I think so. And I guess that's just digital health. If there's any more coping strategies or actually potential referral areas, we have to wrap it up shortly because we're going to run out of time, and the battery on the laptop will run out.
I know we did have a really great 40-minute, and we will do this another time where we touch base on all those topics.
I look forward to doing this again for sure.
I think we've kind of touched base on pretty much.
So where are some places people can go to access more help if they need?
I will put this, Natalie will put this up, but so I guess we've touched base on 2 areas. One is, friends, family. 2 is we touch base on therapists or
counselling therapists. Online services as well.
We will put these contacts up, but there's Lifeline, Beyond Blue, Suicide Callback Service, Kids Helpline, 1-800-RESPECT, Men's Lifeline Australia. This is something,
and that's just a few. There's more out there.
There is a lot. Black Dog, I was listening to something today, and I think it's Black Dog have something like, I think there's so many. We're so lucky that we've come so far from probably when we or our parents as well. We will add these. I think that we just wanted to quickly jump on, apologize for the fact that you've got to miss out and everyone was waiting.
And I think it's important that if we say just before we go, if you or anyone else is struggling, or if you're feeling triggered or anything like that from anything that you might be thinking of or from this conversation, please talk to a professional immediately. If your safety might be in danger, if you're having any thoughts of suicide, please call an emergency service and please get in touch with a professional so that you can access the help and support that you need.
Because it's okay if you're not okay.
Exactly. That's the point of Are You Okay Day.
That's right. And it's and having these conversations where we touch base in our we did our last thing that didn't get recorded about why we came into this industry, and we were having the conversations of why we were passionate about this, and for us it was an experience. Like for myself, it was things that I had struggled with and seeing people around me, and I think that that's so important because it makes us acknowledge that other people go through this. I've been through it. I've had family go through it, and it's really important.
A lot more common than what people probably believe it is. Definitely,
and it's so important for us to acknowledge, like, yes, I'm struggling. Let's get some help. Let's implement these great things that we can implement in our lives, like these, some strategies, these well-being things. Let's fill our cup. Let's come back to self. Make sure that we're okay. That's so important. We can't be, and I'd love to chat more about this, like as a parent, like we can't be the best parent to our kids if we're not looking after ourselves. We sit there and we talk about how, parents have that parent guilt where if we go and do something for ourselves, like, oh my gosh, you left the kid, you did this. No, we're coming back to self, we're filling our cup, we're making sure we're okay, because the stresses of today is so much compared to years ago. Like there's so many things that have changed.
The world has changed a lot, and I find that there's a lot, particularly at the very moment, a lot of stress is going on for everybody. I think everyone I talk to lately, I check in, I'll say, how are you going? Everyone says stressed. So there's that level of chronic stress, and there could also be other things going on underneath, whether it's the more common depression, anxiety, but there could be other things as well, and including intellectual disabilities that have an impact. So I think just making sure that we're all checking in, and we're making sure that we're just having discussions, and the whole point of today is just to put it out there. If you're not okay, are you okay? And it's all right not to be okay. So
it is definitely all right not to be okay. So have those conversations, look after yourself, go chat to someone, or if you're okay but someone else that's not okay, check in on them. So thanks for joining us. We apologize that you didn't get to see our last Zoom, but we will record it next time.
Please let us know if you want to hear more about anything that we've talked about. If you have any specific questions or any topics or anything, definitely let us know. Happy to kind of zero in a little bit more if we touched on something that you thought, oh, that's interesting, and then we moved on to something else.
We had to because we spent so long before, we had to make it
do a more condensed, quick little check-in.
So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
And look after yourselves.
Yes. How do we do it? There. My end moving. If I press end, it's recorded.
End.